Hey, what's going on back ahead today with my friends? So glad to all be back together. We've been kind of hit and miss here and there. So today we're going to talk about when we started Jiu-Jitsu, how we started, just our own little story, just kind of how it took place. All right, let's get started.
So I was at work and I was talking to a guy about rock climbing. I was really into rock climbing at the time. And then we were talking about him going rock climbing in China. And we were in the conversation for a while. And then he was like, yeah, but I switched over and I started doing jiu-jitsu instead. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really know what it was. I was like, what's that? And he kind of explained it to me. And I was like, that sounds pretty cool. And he was like, yeah, come try out a class. And I was like, maybe one of these days. I don't really know if I'll ever go. And basically, he was like, don't be a wuss. And I came to the class the next day, and then that day I signed up. I was just like, all right, this is cool. Like,
Who was it?
Trey, Warren. So
Trey. Wasn't he
he was a brown belt when I first started.
Oh, he was a purple belt. He transferred to the school or came to the school, correct?
I don't know, to be honest. I just know he was here, and then he went to Double 5, I think.
Yep, that is him. He was a purple belt.
Yeah. Really cool dude.
He made me, no, he is a cool dude, but he kind of made me upset one day.
Yeah?
Yeah, we were, Mark had separated us, and I was a white belt. This is the pride in me. So it wasn't, he upset me because of my own pride, but Mark had separated upper belts and lower belts, and Mark said, hey, Joseph, you come over here with the upper belts today. I'm like, okay. And I walked over here, and Trey goes, so, and it was no, he goes, so are you, what's your rank? Are you a white belt, blue belt? And I'm like, it doesn't really matter, you know. I remember saying like, you know, when I said white belt, I was like, okay, just want to know where you are. And what's funny is I do that same thing with people. I'll be like, hey, what's your rank? You know, and it helps me mentally. There's no disrespect, but it's funny how my pride in that moment was like,
What do you mean?
what do you mean, bro? That's what I get.
How long ago was that? How long have you been training there?
This December will be 5 years.
Okay.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Nice.
5 years.
Yeah, it flew by.
How long did you purple belt?
I think I got it earlier this year. So
Really?
I think
I
so.
thought you had it longer than that.
Maybe. I don't know, to be honest. I haven't checked the pictures.
Yeah. Facebook
That's a
memory
good
has
picture
popped
of
up
me
there.
being like this.
Are
Yeah.
you a blue belt in those videos when we were rolling in the back? Or were you still a white belt? Do you remember that? You and I did those videos a long time ago, rolling. You have
It
to...
might have been a white belt.
Really?
Yeah. Because I got my blue belt when I wasn't going to day class time. So I got a day shift. And then I came back. And then I got my purple belt, I think.
It's pretty sweet, dude.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Now that I think about it.
Hint, hint. No.
Yeah.
Well, I started, it's been almost 5 years now, officially me starting, but I guess what got me started was, we're one of those, the Jocko Jiu-Jitsu flood. So I started listening to the Jocko podcast and for business purposes and life purposes and what have you, and he always talked about it. And so, as any good father, I put my child in there first to see if it was safe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Do you get hurt?
Yeah, he's flexible. He's young. Let's see how it really is. And so I put my son in it. 2017, 2016, right around there.
In your 90s.
Yeah, not the early 90s. You're not that old. But so I got him signed up for that, and I would be the dad sitting in the waiting room there, just kind of watching through the window and just watching it all go down. Like, it doesn't look that hard, you know, they make it look pretty easy. You know, I'm trying to give coaching tips from the sidelines,
You know what you're coaching?
not knowing anything about it. But, you know, it's one of those things where, I mean, I was pretty athletic in high school. How hard can this be, you know? And so I took him home one day, and I remember they were working on arm bars. And I'm like, yeah, man, just throw it on me. Let's see how tight it really is, and I'll give you some tips. And he threw it on me. And I think he weighed almost 95 pounds at the time. And he threw that on me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is legit kind of a thing. And there was nothing I knew to do to get out of that particular thing other than tap. And I'm like, well, I need to learn this because he's going to want to drive the car soon, and I'm not going to be able to stop him. and we're going to be that household. So my schedule just wouldn't allow it to come to a normal class, and so every other Friday I would do privates with Ted. I don't know if you remember Ted or not. So, but yeah, he was a brown belt, about my age, and him and I had always talked in the waiting room, and so I got comfortable with him, and so him and I would do privates a couple of times a month. And then there's a guy at our church who did Jiu Jitsu. I was doing privates with him on the side. And then, I bit the bullet in COVID. When COVID happened, our offices shut down and we went full remote. I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll see what happens here. So I signed up and that was almost 5 years ago. So yeah.
So you started during COVID time, huh?
I started during COVID time, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was, it's been great ever since.
So training at with the people at the guy at church, was it Tom?
No, I didn't know Tom at the time. No, this was another guy. His name was Eddie. He never trained here. But he did know Mark through historical stuff, and so this guy he had his own gym down in South Texas, and he moved up here for other reasons. He trains he trains horses now. But yeah, he was a black belt in Jiu Jitsu, and him and I would train all the time in his garage whenever we got a chance.
Do you feel like you learned more from your privates with Ted and with that guy? Did you retain that stuff, or do you feel like that stuff kind of disappeared over time?
So the stuff with Ted, I definitely still use to this day. I mean, that old bread cutter choke was the first thing he showed me. And so I'm like, yeah, I do that all the time in a gi class. That's what I go for. Because, I mean, that was just one of the first things I learned. The other stuff with that other guy, it was more of a
just beat each other like that?
Yeah, kind of like he was wanting to get a workout in.
He was hungry to just roll.
Yeah, he was just hungry to roll, and we did stand up stuff, and so, but so he never really like buttoned up any technique or anything like that, but he was more like giving me that live round feel, which, I mean, y'all know, I mean, it's one thing to do technique, but if you start feeling like that live round feel, then it really makes a big difference. And so
that's why I like JJ, because you get to experience. It's a different. You're experiencing the push, the pull, even getting hit in the face on act like it's a literal controlled fight in that moment.
Yeah,
I actually enjoy. I'm glad that takes place compared to. I don't know, other martial arts do that and stuff. I'm sure they do once you kind of rank up a little, but I really feel like day one, almost day one here, it was all right. It's time to start. You know. And,
yeah. No, I agree with you. I think Jiu-Jitsu is one of the only, I've heard this said before, where Jiu-Jitsu is one of the only, if not the only, martial art where you could go 100% the whole round up until the last, a little bit to break an arm, for example, where you go all the way out, somebody chokes you all the way out. And you can do that consistently. Like, we can have hard rounds 5 days a week and go 100% during the round. You can't do that, in Muay Thai. You're going to get clocked in the head one too many times and that kind of thing. So you can get a real feel here. But yeah, 5 years ago.
Awesome. I guess I'll go now because we're going in line. And I started 2016, and I was just doing research online, just kind of trying to find something to get plugged into. And I actually thought Jiu-Jitsu was for babies, because it looked like they were just kind of rolling around on the mat and not really, it didn't look effective. I wanted to do something effective. So I was looking into like Aikido and, Kung Fu, stuff that, would really work. And I was debating on, if I should really pursue that or not. And then I called up here one day. What's interesting is when I hear people call all the time and Mark never answers the phone, but I called up here and he answered the phone. And I was like, hey, I'm looking to try out Jiu-Jitsu. He's like, yeah, come to a free class and try it out. I was like, okay, great. And do I, he didn't tell me how much it cost in that moment. So I came to my free class, loved it. The technique that I learned, I actually recorded myself doing that on camera at home on somebody. I'd love to show y'all. It looks ridiculous. It's a move that I've never, ever used. And I don't think I'll ever use it. And then after that class, I was going to sign up. It didn't work out. I got kind of bitter. I got a little frustrated because there were some things that just made it complicated. So I left. Didn't come back for a couple years. I saw this guy named Charlie he was a brown belt at the time. He's got a black belt. He's not here anymore. And he was like, dude, you should come try it again. Talk to Mark. He's a good guy. And I was like, oh. And I was like, well, I'm just kind of upset about some stuff. And I didn't really share much. Well, November came around in 2016, and I called up and I was like, hey, and Mark answered again. Again, he answered, which is so odd to me because no one really, I never hear anybody answer that phone in there. But he answered again. I said, do you guys have a Black Friday sale, for new people? And he's like, no, and I don't do Black Friday. And I was like, okay. He goes, but come in for a free class. And I said, well, I already did a free class. He goes, all right. Well, and I explained who I was. He goes, listen, this is what I'm going to charge you. And I'm going to give you a free gi if you come in and sign up. And that's what I needed. So there's details in there that I don't want to share because some people may be like, well, that's not fair. But Professor Mark really helped me to get going and to get into jiu-jitsu. Now, I have been doing, kind of like you said you were meeting with people before. I was meeting with guys at my job, but we didn't know what we were doing. There was one guy, one guy was a blue belt and he hadn't trained in years. And so he showed me, I would love to show you all the armbar he showed me. Y'all would probably laugh because it was a neon belly armbar, but it is the most ridiculous position to hold and to hold for the armbar. And he showed me this, he showed me the head and arm choke, and then we would roll on, that carpet that they have at church, it's like concrete, and then it's like that thin carpet.
Like an industrial carpet?
I'm telling you, I would have carpet burns so bad, just hurting and bruised. And then we made our own mats in the back with, it was at Denton Freedom House. So there was multiple guys there at Denton Freedom House, but we made mats out of cardboard boxes and carpet. And sometimes we just rolled out in the grass, but we didn't know what we were doing. We were just kind of looking at stuff online. I remember the first move that I wanted to learn with him was the helicopter armbar. Where you raise them up and you twist them and you fall because it just looks so cool.
So cool.
And I've never even trained.
It's a good starter move, yeah.
But
he's into it.
Anyways, we did all that at home stuff, and then I'm hungry for jiu-jitsu now. I realize that I know it's applicable, and I know it works. So then, like I said, I did all those free classes, and then Mark got me signed up. Well, I come to my classes, and I think I already know a little bit, and I'm a little bit bigger than everybody here in my gut and muscle. Back then I was a little bit chunkier, and I remember I rolled up this purple belt. His name was Derek, and that dude pieced me up. And I did not realize how feet could get tucked into positions and the gift wrap and how everything was just so tight when he did it. He actually ended up cradling me literally in his lap like a baby, like this. And I'm looking up at him and just submitting me. Later on, I rolled with Steve Weiss. I don't know if y'all know who Professor Weiss is.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that guy, I think it was my first week or two, that guy got me in mount and choked me out with mount. I'm tapping, and he's not letting go. He is letting me know that he's in charge.
Yeah.
And he was in control, I needed that because I know I was spazzy.
Yeah, he was good that way.
And so he was good at kind of, and he knew when he turned it up though, it turned up.
Yeah.
So if you ever got like a little advantage, it was game time.
Yeah.
But that's how I started. I started 2016, thought it was a sport for babies, just fell in love with it, and I think it's very applicable to I think it can help you in life. I think it can help you if you ever have to defend yourself, but I do think you should add to it. I think you should add judo to it or some kind of stand-up. I don't think you should just rely on jiu-jitsu alone. And more than ever, I believe that now because I've been walking around the store recently, and I used to size people up when I was a white belt. I'd be like in the store, and I'd be like, man, I'm like a month or two in, and I'm like, yeah, I bet I could take that dude down right there. I don't do that anymore. I don't like. But recently, since I was, just these little tricks that Eli's been giving me in judo, I'm like, dude, I need more judo because it's going to start standing. And if I can get a good hip toss or a good throw or a good trip, I need that. I need that in my game now. So, yeah, that's how I started, and I'm very thankful for doing it now for a little over 8 years. And I was promoted every 2 years, which I can tell you, until brown belt, I didn't even feel like I even knew what jiu-jitsu was. Literally, and I mean that. At purple belt, people would say, dude, you were doing really good at purple belt, but I really I don't really think I was. And the way that I was moving at brown belts where everything kind of locked in, and then it was just refined. Everything felt real, like there was growth. It was almost as if it took years for the plant to grow some roots, get water, and kind of grow. And then brown belt, it went. I just felt this growth in my game. I'm sure it came from teaching too. So, all right.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps a lot.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I got started jiu-jitsu, let's see, kind of on accident. I thought I was coming to a Muay Thai class. I knew what jiu-jitsu was at the time, but just kind of like anybody else, like the podcast, I heard a lot of people in jiu-jitsu and thought it was cool. And I emailed Mark, and I think I miscommunicated. And so he was like, yeah, come to a class. And I just picked the wrong class and showed up. And so I thought it was going to be Muay Thai. And then they started grabbing me and pulling me in the guard. And I was very, very confused for that first class. But I left, and I just it's like I couldn't stop thinking about it. So that was actually in 2016.
Oh, wow.
I came for the first class.
Yeah.
And I then it was like 4 years before I ever came, 4 or 5 years before I actually joined.
Dude, I wonder if we ever went this each came in point.
Maybe, yeah.
That's crazy.
But it was just like I came and I couldn't really afford it at the time, and then it was kind of like since I wasn't expecting jiu-jitsu, it was sort of just this like let me think about this for a while.
Yeah.
And then put it on the back burner, and then it was kind of like COVID happened, and I was kind of just like I need to do something different to get out of this seasonal life kind of a thing. And so I started beginning, I guess about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
From right now, full time.
I remember you coming in.
Mhm.
I was already kind of in. I remember you coming in.
Yeah. So.
I finally got a white belt. He's smaller than you. Maybe I can get him.
Who was that? Matt's wife? The white belt came in. She was like, "Oh, fresh."
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I was looking at the shots, man. I was like, oh,
That's how he's looking at Alex. Like Alex walks in, he's like, "Oh yeah."
I felt like that.
That's
I
every-
felt
that's-
like that for sure.
That's every fresh white belt when the trial guy comes in.
Oh, gotta get him.
Yeah. I remember my first official class, though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Oh
off.
no.
We're cutting it. We're cutting it.
That's I mean, that's kind of the story. I didn't have any clue what it was, and I think being manhandled so effortlessly made me be like, I need to maybe learn this. And it took me a few years to finally ever come back and really go full time. But I was thinking about it for years, just thinking I should go do that.
Just festering.
Just imagine if you would have stuck with me.
I think about it all the time. I'd be like, hey, brown belt. But hey, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it. It's probably the truth. If I would have started, maybe it just wasn't my time. So
Yeah, you're probably right.
And your game would be different too.
yeah, the whole jiu-jitsu was different at the time.
Yeah.
Everything would be different. So
That's interesting.
can't look back.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed our stories. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Have a good one. Meet you, my neighbor. Oh.